Have you ever wondered what it truly means to master yourself? In a world overflowing with distractions, instant gratification, and emotional overwhelm, the idea of living with calm, purpose, and power seems like a faraway dream. But it doesn't have to be. The Stoics, especially Marcus Aurelius, left behind a timeless roadmap for building inner strength, a kind of strength that doesn't scream, but endures, a power that doesn't dominate others but conquers the self. In this series, we'll explore 10 Stoic principles that will help you build unshakable discipline. And today we begin with the foundation of it all. Let's dive into Principle 1. Principle 1. Find your purpose, the compass of self-discipline. Every act of discipline begins with direction. Without purpose, discipline is just restriction. But when you know why you're doing something, even the hardest days become meaningful. Marcus Aurelius believed that finding your purpose meant more than just chasing goals. It meant aligning with nature. And in Stoic philosophy, nature isn't about trees and rivers. It's about discovering your role in the greater order of life and living it with integrity. Purpose gives clarity. It tells you what to say yes to and what to let go of. It's what gets you out of bed in the morning when comfort tries to keep you there. But here's the truth. Finding your purpose in today's noisy world isn't easy. We're constantly pulled by trends, opinions, and fears of missing out. That's why the Stoic way is to simplify, not complicate. Strip away the superficial. Ask yourself, what am I naturally drawn to? What challenges stir something deep in me? What would I still care about if no one was watching? Those answers are not random. They're your soul whispering truth. And once you hear it, discipline becomes less of a chore and more of a commitment to your calling. In the words of Marcus, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Your purpose doesn't live in theory, it lives in action. So start each day by asking, what am I truly meant to do today? And each night reflecting, did I live in alignment with what matters? That's how purpose becomes a practice. That's how discipline becomes natural. And when purpose drives your life, self-discipline stops being punishment and starts becoming power. Principle 2. Count on yourself. Build the backbone of discipline. Self-discipline is a personal journey, and on that journey, the most dependable person must be you. Marcus Aurelius didn't preach isolation, but he reminded us that no one else is responsible for our inner growth. Your mind, your choices, your reactions. That's your kingdom. It's easy to blame circumstances, to wait for perfect timing, or depend on others to motivate us, but Stoicism flips that script. It teaches us to become our own fire, burning not because someone lit us, but because we chose to ignite. Depending on yourself doesn't mean cutting others off. It means standing on your own, even when no one else shows up for you. It means doing the work in silence, trusting the process when applause is absent. In a world of external validation and non-stop comparison, listening to your inner voice is radical. But that voice, grounded in reason and virtue, is your truest guide. Marcus wrote, "Look well into thyself. There is a source of strength which will always spring up if thou wilt always look." In other words, stop outsourcing your courage. So, how do you build that self-reliance? Start small. Keep promises you make to yourself, even when they're inconvenient. Show up when you said you would, not just for others, but for you. And when you fail, don't fall into self-pity. Reflect, reset, and return stronger. Because every time you show up for yourself, you grow your willpower. You prove, quietly but undeniably, that you are enough, and that your strength does not depend on approval, applause, or permission. This is where real discipline is born, not in control over others, but in control over yourself. When you count on yourself, you stop waiting, you start becoming. Principle 3. Show up every day. The quiet power of consistency. Greatness doesn't happen in bursts. It's not built in loud moments or grand gestures. It's shaped in the quiet, when no one's watching, when motivation is gone, and all that's left is a choice. Choice to show up or not. Marcus Aurelius didn't need motivational speeches. He understood something deeper, that discipline is not about intensity, it's about consistency. The Stoic life is not lived in dramatic events, but in small, repeated actions that align with virtue. Every day, he wrote, we are called to do the work nature gave us. Whether it's leading an empire or tending to simple daily duties, it's the showing up that shapes the soul. We often wait for the right mood, the spark of inspiration, but waiting is the enemy of progress. The Stoics taught us that feelings are visitors. Discipline is a resident. So, what does showing up look like in your life? It might be writing one paragraph when you don't feel like it, stretching for 5 minutes even when you're tired, making that one uncomfortable call, not because it's fun, but because it's what aligns with your values. And that's the point. You don't need to be perfect every day, but you do need to be present. The act of showing up, even imperfectly, is a declaration that your values matter more than your moods. Marcus Aurelius believed each day was a battlefield for your principles, not a violent war, but a sacred test. Will you live today with courage and intention, or let the day pass by unused? When you show up, even when it's hard, even when no one sees it, you honor your inner warrior. Discipline isn't loud. It's the quiet agreement you keep with yourself, one day at a time. Principle 4, embrace discomfort. Train the mind before life demands it. What if pain wasn't the enemy? What if, just maybe, discomfort was a doorway, not to suffering, but to strength? Marcus Aurelius believed that those who willingly face discomfort gain something priceless, resilience. And in the Stoic world, resilience isn't just a nice trait, it's a survival skill. Modern life is built to soften us, heated seats, instant food, endless scrolling. Comfort is marketed like a drug, but when life inevitably gets hard, and it will, those comforts vanish, and you're left with your mind. The Stoics knew this. That's why they practiced voluntary hardship, not to punish themselves, but to prepare, to remind the body and mind, you are stronger than you think. It could be as simple as skipping a meal, sleeping on the floor, waking before the sun, or walking when you'd rather ride. Small, intentional acts that say, I don't need comfort to be at peace. Because here's the truth. Discomfort sharpens the soul. It breaks the illusion that comfort equals happiness, and in its place it plants something deeper, appreciation, endurance, and self-respect. Marcus didn't avoid struggle, he leaned into it, not because he enjoyed suffering, but because he knew that avoiding it makes us weak. Facing it, however, builds character. And here's the bonus. When you practice going without, even briefly, you start to cherish what you already have. A warm bed, a hot meal, a kind word. Gratitude grows where entitlement once stood. So if you want to build true self-discipline, don't just wait for hard times to train you. Train yourself now. Seek challenge, welcome friction, learn to breathe through what others run from. Because a mind stretched by discomfort becomes unbreakable. Principle 5. Focus only on what you can control. The Stoic key to inner peace. Imagine how much calmer life would feel if you stopped trying to control everything. This is the Stoic superpower, knowing the difference between what's yours to command and what's not. Marcus Aurelius repeated this theme again and again in his meditations. He knew, we suffer not from events, but from our desire to control them. You can't control the weather, other people's opinions, or the past, but you can control your thoughts, your reactions, your choices. That's where your power lives. The Stoics call this the dichotomy of control, and it's more than philosophy, it's freedom. Every time you focus on what's outside your reach, you waste energy. You exhaust yourself chasing shadows, fighting storms that won't listen to your commands. But when you shift inward, when you own your responses instead of blaming circumstances, you become untouchable. Let go of the need to win every argument. Release the urge to predict every outcome. Instead, ask, what is mine to do right now? And do that fully. This practice takes discipline. Your ego will resist. It wants to control, it wants guarantees, but discipline says do your part and release the rest. Even goals must be reframed. The Stoic doesn't obsess over results. She finds meaning in the effort, in the courage to act with integrity, even if the outcome is uncertain. Because peace isn't found in control, it's found in surrender. Not passive surrender, but powerful focus on what truly belongs to you. So the next time life feels chaotic, pause, take a breath, ask yourself, is this mine to control? And if it's not, let it go. That's not weakness, that's wisdom, and it's where true inner strength begins. Principle 6, never play the victim. Reclaim your power from within. Life will test you. People will disappoint you. Circumstances will shift in ways you never expected. But no matter what happens, one thing remains yours: how you respond. The Stoics believe that victimhood is not just a mindset, it's a trap, a surrendering of your power to forces that cannot define you unless you let them. Marcus Aurelius faced betrayal, war, and the weight of ruling an empire. Yet he never wrote from a place of self-pity. He wrote from strength, from clarity, from deep responsibility. Playing the victim feels safe at first. It gives us someone to blame, something to point to. But over time, it erodes our agency. It convinces us we are helpless passengers instead of powerful participants. Stoicism rejects that story. It teaches us that pain is real, but power is chosen. You may not choose what happens, but you always choose what happens next inside you. Even when life feels unfair, even when the weight feels too much, your choice remains. Will I rise? Or will I surrender to bitterness? Victimhood says, look what they did to me. Stoicism says, look how I'll grow from this. To practice this principle, begin by watching your inner dialogue. When something goes wrong, notice. Do you immediately blame, complain, or spiral? Or do you pause, breathe, and ask, what's my next right move? This doesn't mean ignoring pain. It means respecting it enough to rise above it. It means using every difficulty as a forge, not a cage. The moment you stop playing the victim, you start writing a new story, one where you are not defined by wounds, but by how you healed. And that story, it's worth telling. Principle 7, delay gratification. Choose growth over impulse. Self-discipline doesn't mean you say no to joy. It means you say not yet to temptation, so you can say yes to something greater later. Marcus Aurelius didn't chase pleasure. He saw it for what it often is, a fleeting thrill that robs us of long-term fulfillment. In a world that rewards the fastest click, the quickest win, and the shallowest pleasure, this mindset is revolutionary. The Stoics believed that mastery over desire is mastery over self. Every time you choose future value over present comfort, you're casting a vote for the person you want to become. It's not about denying yourself everything, it's about choosing intentionally, saying, I could indulge now, but I'm building something bigger. Science backs this up. Studies show that people who practice delayed gratification tend to achieve more in relationships, health, and career. Why? Because they've trained themselves to resist short-term reward for long-term impact. But this is not just about money or goals. It's spiritual. It's emotional. It's the decision to walk away from a toxic habit, to stay silent when anger wants to lash out, to skip the dopamine hit and invest in peace instead. When you delay gratification, you're telling your lower self, you don't run this show anymore. And in that pause, between want and wait, you find power. Start small, skip the impulse buy, turn off the distraction, practice stillness instead of reaction. Each time you wait, you sharpen your will. Marcus said, a man's worth is no greater than the worth of his ambitions. Let yours be deep, not shallow, lasting, not fleeting. Because the person who can wait is the one who truly wins. Principle 8. Ignore the naysayers. Silence the noise. Amplify the truth. In a world full of voices, not all of them deserve your attention. Some speak to uplift, others speak to distract. But Stoicism teaches us this timeless truth. Not every opinion is worth your peace. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, but he didn't rule to please. He knew that public praise and criticism are both temporary wins. What mattered most was whether his actions aligned with virtue, not approval. We live in a culture addicted to validation. One post, one comment, one review, and suddenly we question everything. But here's the Stoic way. Stop outsourcing your confidence to people who don't live your life. When you listen too much to critics, you begin to shrink, not because their words are truth, but because you forgot yours. The Stoics remind us, focus only on what's in your control. And guess what? Other people's opinions are not. Your character is, your response is, your path is. This doesn't mean you ignore wise counsel, but it means you discern. Is this feedback aligned with your values, or is it just noise? And often, the loudest voices come from those who've never walked where you're walking. That's why Marcus wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." So, how do you practice this? Create internal clarity. Know who you are and what you stand for. When that's solid, opinions can't shake you. They simply pass through like wind through trees. Build your inner compass so strong that even in storms, you don't drift. Because the more you silence the outer noise, the louder your inner wisdom becomes. And in that stillness, your true voice rises. Principle 9. Emulate the wise. Learn from those who live what you seek. You don't have to walk the Stoic path alone. In fact, the wisest among us never do. They walk with the shadows and stories of those who've gone before them, watching, learning, becoming. Marcus Aurelius often wrote about the virtues of others, not out of envy, but out of admiration. He understood that wisdom isn't always born from within. It's borrowed, studied, and eventually embodied. We live in an age of endless role models, but quantity doesn't equal quality. The Stoic chooses mentors carefully, seeking those whose lives echo courage, justice, moderation, and reason. This isn't about copying, it's about alignment. It's about asking, who is living the way I wish to live? Then watching not just what they say, but how they move through adversity, how they love, how they lead. It could be a historical figure, a parent, a mentor, even a fictional character. What matters is that their values challenge you to rise, not settle. Emulating the wise gives shape to your own aspirations. It bridges the gap between ideal and action. It's one thing to read about virtue, it's another to see it lived out in real time. So find those people, study them, observe their choices, ask, how would they respond to this challenge I'm facing? Let their strength anchor your uncertainty. But don't stop there. Let their legacy live through you. Be the kind of person someone else would want to emulate. Because ultimately, we're all both students and teachers in life. The more you live with intention, the more your life becomes a quiet lesson to someone else, whether you know it or not. And that is the ripple of real discipline. Principle 10, reflect daily, shape tomorrow by reviewing today. Growth isn't automatic, it's intentional, and the Stoics knew that without reflection, experience means little. What matters is not just what we go through, but what we learn from it. Marcus Aurelius didn't end his days with distraction. He ended them with introspection. His writings were conversations with himself, gentle audits of his soul, not to judge, but to refine. He'd ask, did I live by my principles today? Where did I falter? Where did I rise? And in asking, he built clarity that strengthened his actions the next day. That's the power of reflection. It turns mistakes into teachers, emotions into insight, and time into transformation. In our fast-paced world, it's easy to collapse into bed, drained and distracted. But what if you paused just for 5 minutes? What if you asked, did I show up today as the person I want to become? You don't need a perfect answer, you just need honesty. The kind of honesty that doesn't shame, but sharpens. Daily reflection isn't about dwelling on failure. It's about accountability with compassion. It says, I'm still learning, but I care enough to learn better. Start tonight. Light a candle, open a journal, or just sit in silence. Ask yourself the questions that matter. Did I act with courage? Did I waste time on things outside my control? Did I grow, even a little? Because over time, these small reviews become great revisions, and those revisions shape your character. Discipline isn't just what you do during the day, it's also how you close the day with awareness, gratitude, and resolve to try again. This is how Stoicism becomes not just a mindset, but a lifestyle. One choice, one day, one reflection at a time. Thank you for walking this Stoic journey with us, from purpose to presence, from inner power to daily peace. If today's message spoke to you, share it with someone who needs a reminder of their own strength. This is Mindset Fuel Hub, where ancient wisdom meets modern life. Until next time, keep living intentionally and wisely.